Chat, I am concerned about the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! To be honest, I've been concerned for quite some time, but there is a new development that has me thinking, man, it's looking pretty bad right now. Today, big dog, we're going to be talking about some pretty big problems inside of the card game and how they can be fixed. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Today, big dog, we're going to be talking about a real big concern that I have for this upcoming Yu-Gi-Oh! Format. And there's a couple of things that we have to talk about. I think the first and foremost and one of the bigger problems is player attendance. So I'm asking you guys while I'm on stream, I think it would be best for everyone to be able to enjoy in this discussion. How is your local event when it comes to player attendance? Hopefully it's just a me thing and it's not like an everybody thing. Have you noticed that there's been less players at your locals? We have 3 shops that do locals in my area for a population of around 250,000. Each locals averages about 8 people. Good nights will be 20 plus, bad nights will be 3. There's a couple of reasons why I think that if you guys are experiencing some local issues, it's not just Yu-Gi-Oh! But in my area, we tend to have anywhere between 30 to 50 players on a local night. Recently, there's been 4. Like, I will literally come into my locals on a Saturday and no one is there. Not a soul. Actually, shout out to the 4 people that be there because they some dope ass people. But ever that, like going from 50 to 4 people is sick work. It's 18 people at my locals yesterday. Okay, so it might be just me. I don't think that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game is dying. I think that at this point in time of the year, a lot of people are taking holiday vacations. They're just going about their day. To be honest, a lot of things just in general, people were not showing up for. So if this is happening to your local area, fortunately, I don't think it's because Yu-Gi-Oh's problems. I think it's just because of it's the time of the year. So don't fret, guys. Numbers are down just in about any activity. When I did get to talk to players, I think one of the biggest things that they mentioned is that the price to entry to play Yu-Gi-Oh! At a locals is too high. And no, I'm not talking about actually paying the money to enter locals. I'm talking about most players believing that you have to have 3 copies of Molchummy Walrus, 3 copies of Molchummy Perulia, and 3 copies of Dominus Impulse to be able to compete. If my math is right, chat, and my math is normally phenomenal in a different universe, that's like about $800 as an entry point just to get into the card game. I think that's sick. Other Yu-Gi-Oh! Card games like Lorcana or One Piece and even Pokemon is incredibly cheap. Like literally tier 1 decks in Pokemon are less than $100. Hell, less than $50. Hell, chat, look. I know we did this in a video before, but this is a holographic energy. How much do you think it costs? It's shiny, chat. It even has the Pokemon League symbol on it. $10 Light Pulse. Way too high. $3. $10 and $3 is way too high. Card's not even $1, which is crazy. I think players are finally starting to feel the impact of expense in Yu-Gi-Oh! Between your $800 entry point cards and then your $500 Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck, the game is starting to become way too expensive when you can be spending your time playing, I don't know, the new Dragon Ball Z game. Hell, there's Black Ops 6. Hey, there's even on that app that you use, Grinder, right? You guys use Grinder? Nani? Sorry, Chad, I had to get y'all. I had to. My OnlyFans girls gotta eat. Young Thug is back. We outside with the ballers and the bulbas. No! At this time of the year, you guys already know, people are being a little bit more wise with their money because they want to waste it on other things other than Yu-Gi-Oh! So that may be the biggest reason why there isn't a lot of players going to your local card game. Fortunately enough, I wouldn't fret just yet. But then there's more things that I'm concerned about. I don't know about you guys, but one of the biggest things that I've noticed in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that when you're playing this card game, the actual strategy of the deck is starting to become less and less what the deck is about. Let me give you an example. One of the strongest decks in the entire game right now is Snake Eyes. This guy's here is a Snake Eyes Yu-Gi-Oh deck that just got first place at an event. I don't know about you guys, but there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Snake Eyes cards. I mean, we can include like lore, right? So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 Snake Eyes cards. My brother, it's a 41 card deck. Oh, we can go deeper, guys. Tenpai Dragon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm not trying to be that guy because these are obviously optimal builds. And I don't blame players for playing as many cards as possible to make it that deck, but as little cards as possible to keep it functional and also have strengths and weaknesses. But at one point in time, do we look at these particular strategies and start to worry? When our Yu-Gi-Oh strategies in current Yu-Gi-Oh isn't about the deck that you're playing. It's about all of the staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards you're playing. If anything, it seems like it's just cookie cutter mash type deck. And those are two completely different decks on two entirely different spectrums. All about engines? I said it in my top 5 meta decks this format that it literally is all about engines. If you're not playing some type of Cash Tira or the Azamina or Bestials or something like that, Fiendsmith, then you're probably getting cooked. And even when you are playing a deck like Tenpai Dragon that doesn't play a lot of engine, you're playing 12 Tenpai Dragon cards. That's less than 30% of the deck. Now, I hate to be a boomer, guys, but I remember back in my day when the engine of your deck consisted of about 28 cards and you had the little 12 cards left to try to fit in some of those cool cards. Because if you didn't play that many cards in your deck would be inconsistent. It's terrible game design. I'm concerned, and it doesn't get better because there is another strategy that is going to take its place, and its name is Raziel. My boy Jib talks about how to play Raziel in more detail, but essentially Raziel is a rank 4 Yu-Gi-Oh deck that summons a ton of monsters and doesn't need a lot of cards either. Here, take a look. This particular deck plays 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. Huh? It's almost a point where Konami is purposely designing these particular Yu-Gi-Oh strategies to play nothing but staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And while I don't think that there's anything wrong with staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards themselves, I think there's definitely something wrong with your Yu-Gi-Oh strategy being less of your Yu-Gi-Oh strategy and more of everything else. The fact that Konami has made one single card do so much actually does more against us. It means that the older Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that we're playing are completely obsolete. A TCG with 200 cards being meta for almost every format sounds like 90% of them. Allow me to explain what I'm saying. Yu-Gi-Oh's power creep has become a huge problem. And the reason why I say this is because not too long ago, there were Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that required 2 cards, 2 specific cards, or maybe 2 to 3 any cards to be able to play. Some of the strongest decks in Yu-Gi-Oh no longer are the strongest decks, not because they're not good, but simply because they don't have do-it-all cards. The one card that goes into their full combo while they can play a ton of other interruptions. And I back in the good old days when Yu-Gi-Oh combos required multiple cards to be able to play, instead of this one card BS, those were the good times. What I'm really trying to say here is that there seems to be no drawback for these one card starter type Yu-Gi-Oh decks, and Konami keeps making them. Between Raziel, between Tenpai Dragon, Snake Eyes, I genuinely think that's a problem. But I don't come here without saying problems, without a solution. I think personally we are getting to a point in time where Konami is over power creeping these cards because the new Master Rule is on its way. I think that Konami will start to implement a restriction where you can only play certain types of cards, and that would justify these broken engines. Like, if Konami said you can only play 3 attributes in your deck, it would make sense with cards like Dominus Impulse and Dominus Purge, and I think most Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes fall under that line. Or maybe you can only play 3 archetypes or 3 attributes outside of your archetype, or maybe it's only 2. I'm not 100% sure how they're doing it, but I am confident that Konami is about to make another Master Duel, just by looking at how strong these cards have been. It's happened every single time. Remove all generic cards and make more built-in archetype ones. Add more restrictions to the one card starter pool. I agree. I think if your combo is a one card starter, I mean, like, hell, at least make it use your normal summoners. I don't know, like, sheesh. All I can tell you is that Yu-Gi-Oh is getting really, really weird right now. And I am concerned for these one card combos, very, very small engines, allowing you to play so many generic cards. It's starting to phase out a lot of the great things that we love about Yu-Gi-Oh, like playing an actual Yu-Gi-Oh strategy instead of hand traps plus whatever cards kind of work together. Figuring out cool interactions despite a deck's restrictions. Now it's just like, why play this particular card when these engines kind of do everything for you? And I think more importantly, Yu-Gi-Oh is starting to become a huge mess that if it isn't fixed soon, we're gonna have even bigger issues. Actually do miss when things were 2-card combos, right? Like, they don't have to be specific cards anymore, but having 2 cards really does solve so much for Yu-Gi-Oh. It forces players to get higher than 1-card combos, so you have to play around 20 to 28 type cards to make it work. And it actually means that your strategy is a little bit more interruptible. There is a place for 1-card combos, but the restriction needs to justify it. Also, your 1-card combo probably shouldn't have other effects on top of it being a 1-card combo. Locks are honestly the best cost and restriction for cards like that, yes, because the 1-card combo does give you into your entire combo, but it makes your deck a little, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but it puts your deck on a linear path. Like how Rapina says you can't special summon for the rest of the turn. That's a good restriction. Chad, imagine if Rapina didn't have that restriction. It'd be Snake Eyes full combo, right? Oh, by the way, normal summon Rapina. Basically, I think what we're all saying is that Konami kind of like scale it down a little bit. Bring the slider down. Let's not have all this ridiculous